Qui a IF abbiamo la fortuna e il piacere di incontrare uno dei padri dell'advertising moderno. Sto parlando di Sir Martin Sorrel, già fondatore di WPP e fondatore di S4 Capital, che qui a IF è intervenuto con un intervento molto interessante dove ha parlato soprattutto di intelligenza artificiale e metaverso. Allora cerchiamo con questo grande visionario di capire come sta evolvendo il mercato della comunicazione.
I don't know what you said, but it sounded good.
Thank you.
We sound better in Italian.
It is good. It is. What is, Martin, your idea about the evolution of the communication industry in terms of innovation and relationship between clients and partners?
Yeah, I think we're living in a very difficult world. I mean, the last 40 or 50 years have been zero interest rates, and there've been ups and downs and been lots of cycles. But having said that, the general trend has been upwards, and I think we're going into a different time. I mean, the world is faced with, without being portentous or pretentious about it, is going through major challenges. The biggest ones being US-China relationships or lack of them, and the rise of different global, misnamed global south. I mean, it's global north as well. But if I was running a country, I would play both ends off against the middle as well. So you see this happening in India, you see this in Brazil. So the first issue is about US-China relationships or lack of them, and that's whatever happens next year in the election, whether it's Trump or Biden, if they both run, or either runs, it's unlikely to change. The second is Russia and Ukraine, which looks as though it's going to go on for a long time. I mean, I really hope that we bring it to a solution, but it doesn't look likely. And, the Russians, President Putin will continue, because if he stops, he loses. Because to date, it hasn't been very, very, very good. And then the third thing is Iran. Although I have to say, the good news is that the Saudis perhaps getting together with the Israelis really, I think, helps, and that might move. But for the first time in my life, these problems seem to be intractable. We've gone through crises. We've gone through, you wouldn't remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, but I do. Hiding under a desk because we were worried about nuclear explosion at 3 p.m. in London at school. But the world is a difficult place, and may well be that we'll get some sort of incident when a Chinese plane goes too close to an American plane or an aircraft carrier, whatever. With that, what it means for clients, what does it mean for clients? It means geographical selectivity. So you look at the world, if you're trying to run a global company, a mini global like us, we're in 32 countries and 57 offices, 8,500 people. What do? So you pick your battlefields, bad analogy, I know, but you pick your battlefields carefully. So to me, North and South America looks strong. I think we undervalue the South American, the technological and creative abilities of South America. And I'm talking principally about Mexico, despite left-wing governments, despite Obrador, Petru, Lula, the chaos in Argentina. We'll see if Milei wins, probably some interesting things might come out of that. But it's basically Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. I would say those 5 markets. We have 3,500 people in those markets. So you look at that, and that block, it becomes really important. When Apple and Tesla have manufacturing problems, supply chain problems in China, where do? They go to Mexico. So that block time zone becomes really more important. Africa is too volatile for my taste, but there is potential there, obviously, and population is going to be extremely important. I mean, that's where the birth rates are highest, and there's an existential, according to Elon Musk, birth rate coming down. The Middle East on fire. I mean, huge opportunity. The vision there is huge. The ambition is huge, both in Saudi and the UAE. I mean, it's incredible. And then Asia. China is an issue, because what do you do about Taiwan? If you're big in China, you probably don't go further. If you're underweight, which the weighting should be 20%, which is roughly where Apple is, if you're underweight, you go bigger. Unilever at 9%, you go bigger. But if you've got I can remember what client has 70% of his production in China. You don't want to go bigger given the time and risk. So India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam all become really important. And when you look forward to 2050, the prognostication, the forecast is that the world's biggest economy, China, and despite their current difficulties, US will be second in absolute size, not per capita, in absolute size. Third will be India, fourth will be Indonesia, and fifth Germany. So 3 of the top 5 in the Premier League, if I can put it like that, is in Asia. So the first thing, and then Europe, sad for me to say, but I include UK in Europe, but UK, France, Germany, Italy, Spain are all economies where our clients look at it and think about cost, maybe more so than revenue opportunities. So the first thing is pick your markets carefully. And that's very different to what it was before. Theodore Levitt said consumers will consume everything the same way everywhere. That's not gone, but it's less important. So pick the battlefield. And then the second thing is, efficiency becomes really important. So digital transformation becomes hugely important. So all the developments around AI and AGI, around blockchain, around the metaverse, around quantum computing and cloud computing become critically important. So I think those 2 things. So anybody running a global company or even a regional company or even a national company, I think and think about expansion, pick your countries much more carefully because growth is going to be slower. It's not going to be like it was for the last 50 years. Inflation will be higher. I don't think we'll get down to 2%. I think the new 2% will be 3%. And as a result, interest rates are going to be higher for longer. As we say, today the jobs report was off the charts. The market has gone better on it, which is sort of interesting. But I think the real world is a dangerous place, and the impact on clients is that they become risk averse. They become very short term.
Yeah.
Less, in my view, strategic. More, CEOs you interview or whatever exude confidence. You go into their organizations and everybody's got their hands in their pockets and they're worried about
they need results now.
Yeah. Short term. Rishi Sunak,
which is not good, because they're not strategic.
Rishi Sunak, who's fighting to win the next election is a difficult task for him. Labour will look as though they're going to win it, but his slogan is, long-term decisions are really important. So not doing what's right to win the next election next year, but doing what's right for the country. So HS2 are high-speed train, and we can't build a train it's cheaper than the French. I mean, I hate to admit it, but the French will be much more efficient in building it. It's a good example. Yeah, good example. So long-term thinking, long-term brand building, and this is a big implication of our industry. So the short-term hit, activation, performance, short-term has become more important. And I think there is some logic in that because the volatility is so great in the economy and with companies and with products and with services that what my dad taught me, which was about long-term brand building, is really quite difficult. And maybe the nature of technology means, we get bombarded with so many messages each day, and with AI it will be more so. Maybe there is something in that. And maybe, we look back on our industry and we say, it's about long-term branding, building, and big ideas. Big ideas are really important, and they can be important in a short-term sense as well. But I think people's horizons are very different.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, we cannot help but talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
You just explained in your speech that there are 5 areas where this will be a very strong impact. And how will change the business model of the industry?
Well, the advertising. Well, the advertising industry has been very backward-looking. We all look back to Don Draper. We party all night. We get up. We get up early in the morning. We get up on our hind legs and we make a pitch to the client, and we win the business despite the fact we got an alcohol a haze, and a hangover. It's going to be very different in my view. I mean, we based S4 on 4 fundamental principles. One is digital only, so that's 2/3 of the market. It's going to be 70% by 2025. Data driven, which with AI, the engine oil, I shouldn't say, the renewable energy of AI comes from data. So data, in a world where Google is deprecating third-party cookies, where Apple are changing the rules around RDFA to cohorts instead of individual identities, the power of first-party data is huge, allied with the signals from the platforms. That gives you so harnessing first-party data. So data-driven is the second. It's all digital-only, data-driven. Faster, better, more efficient, and more because of AI. I do think clients have to be more agile. They talk about agility, but when you deal with their organizations, it's not necessarily. The same goes for agencies, by the way. They have to take back control because I think they gave away too much control after the great financial crisis in 2008. They want, in their desire to reduce cost, they really gave up control to the agencies. It may sound strange coming from me, but I think that's really important. So more in-housing, more stuff around data and content being done in partnership with the agencies, and then the importance of first-party data. It is amazing to me how few companies have fully integrated data systems. They've grown by acquisition, or they've had different CIOs or CTOs, and they have different systems, and they don't talk to one another. I had at Wimbledon this year, we had a breakfast for 6 clients. I remember there was one, I won't say who the clients were. One retail client came in and said, used to work with him at WPP actually, and he said he had 18 million spotless IDs for consumers in the UK. And there was somebody from a big packaging goods company, a woman who ran one of their big divisions, so she had no first-party data. So it's tremendous variation. So how it changes, then the 4th principle is unitary. So we're one brand where clients can access all we have. So I think that's the model. We've gone through our ups and our downs in the last 5 years, but my view is that strategically the model, digital only. So this year, digital's up 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10, 11%, but we'll see what happens on Q3. But Q1 and Q2, Alphabet, Meta, and Amazon did super good, right? And they are the market, basically. And so that's up. Linear is down 7, 8, 9%. Disney is selling, or is prepared to sell ABC or partner. So linear TV is under huge pressure. Italy is a very unique market. It's rather like Brazil, as I said. It's rather like Globo in Brazil is the same thing as Mediaset. And Berlusconi in Italy, and maybe Sky in Italy. So it's sort of interesting to sit here in Milan and say that, and then the agencies dominate the media space. That is going to shift. As I said on AI, I think that's going to be a huge shift. That's going to be would be also a killer application for many jobs. Well, I think, there was a famous British economist, I think Scottish actually, John Maynard Keynes, British economist who in 1933 wrote I think it was 1933, wrote, we'll be having more holidays because of automation. That hasn't proven to be the case. I think with AI, it is going to be the case. There's an interesting, very, I think, fascinating juxtaposition. Work from home, work from anywhere, distributed workforce, the technology making that. And then you've got this whole thing around AI. Which will make us more efficient.
But there will be also a loss of job.
I think so, but that's a very controversial thing to say, and I think we have to get used to that, because I think there will be. I think this will be the Keynesian happening. We'll see. When I look at the 5 areas we talked about, they're going to be areas where the
is copywriting. So
visualization and copywriting, and that is a process. Then it's hyper-personalization, media planning and buying, general efficiency, and then last but not least, the democratization of knowledge, which I think is really powerful. I mean, that, to me, if you can create a bot, there's a famous hedge fund manager called Ray Dalio, Bridgewater, who apparently has created a bot. He writes really interesting books. I'm not sure I think the prose is as good as it could be, but the charts are fantastic. The data is unbelievable. It's unbelievably good. And you make that knowledge available to a firm so that people can instantly get an answer, which you can now, or you have the ability to do that. That is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge.
And also for metaverse, in the controversial for metaverse.
Yeah.
Some people don't really believe.
Well, I think Facebook Meta was a whipping girl.
Yeah.
And everybody dumped. The root of all evil, the root of all problems was metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg, which I think was desperately unfair. I'm subjective about it because we have a relationship on it, but I think metaverse on healthcare, because I've got a healthcare problem at the moment and I've seen it firsthand, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Training, unbelievable. Training pilots, training architects, it's extraordinary what you can do. Sports, entertainment, and music. We stream the NBA games on virtual reality. So there are huge applications.
So metaverse
is really good. I think, and then blockchain. Yep. Eliminate. There's huge friction. I get myself in trouble here when in the Italian media scene. If you can eliminate that friction, you know what I'm talking about. Eliminate that friction. That is a huge opportunity for Japan. Will be the same, right? So where you have an openness as a transparency, rather than a friction.
Talking about debate.
Yeah. Well, you said it. I did.
Rebate.
Media planning, and then general efficiency, and then this democratization.
The last very question regards S4 Capital.
Sure.
That bought Mediamont in 2024.
Yeah, we had 2018.
18.
Yeah.
Great.
So you've been at it for 5 years.
Okay. And so you are closing the year with a decrease.
Yeah, what we said, flat to that. Well, analysts are saying 1% to 2%. I mean, we do three things: content, data and digital media, and tech services. Tech services are strong, remain strong on growth. Data and digital media, a little bit of growth. Content is where the pressure is. And I think, we've come off years where we were up. If I go back the first 5 years, 40% in the first year, 20% in COVID year. This is net revenue like-for-like growth. And so huge growth, 43%, then 26. And now let's say we're flat, down a bit. And
for the future.
Well, I think we're very focused on integrating what we have, because the offer is a very broad one. And here in Italy, it's focused more on content. It'll fan out, I'm sure, into DDM and to data and digital media, and also into tech services. But we're very focused on integrating what we've got and making that work more effectively and more efficiently. But, if you said to me what I think is going to happen in the next year, I think 24 is going to be very similar to 23 until we get through the American election. After that, whoever wins, I think things will get better. In the markets, the stock markets are always in advance. I did think that Q2, Q3, we would see interest rates fall a bit. But, what's happened in the last few weeks, and then the job numbers today were twice what people were expecting, payroll numbers, it seems to me that, you're going to see delays on that. And that's the reason why the markets have been so jittery. There's also huge debt. And here in Italy, you've got the EU loans and everything that have been negotiated and talked about, but we've got huge debts that the US government has to fund, and huge debts, for example, the UK government has to fund. China, which has contributed 30% of worldwide growth over the years, is stuttering. It has big problems around youth unemployment. It has big problems around the real estate sector. It has big problems around state-owned enterprises, which are heavily indebted. So this argument that we see at the moment with the Republicans and the Democrats about the Speaker of the House, and also about the government budgets and whether they're going to be approved or not, is emblematic of that. Or Rishi Sunak's decision to axe the next stage of HS2, right, is all emblematic. So the world, it comes back to where we started. The world is a very difficult place. And in that world, clients have to pick geographies, as I said, and they have to accelerate digital transformation. And those are opportunities for us. Having said that, it makes them very cautious. And that's what we're seeing this year. And I think, frankly, I was seeing it next year. I mean, if you look at the Italian industry, I mean, the Me Too question is the issues that we are social, and M&C Saatchi seem to have surfaced in the media. So it makes it doubly difficult, and all that is regrettable stuff and unacceptable. But having said that, that sort of lays on, and then at the same time you see that you people being put under pressure for work. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure in the system for the reasons we just discussed. I mean, clients are very anxious. Clients have become short-term, much more short-term. But as I said before, I think the market has become more short-term, and actually short-term is necessary in a way, because you're looking for return and performance. That's why digital this year, I mean, really interesting this year. The packaged goods companies have got their price increases. Their ad budgets are fixed on their income. Yeah. So they've gone up, and they put more money into digital. Yeah. Short term. And linear has suffered. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what.
This means that big brand campaign will be less than the...
Well, the big brand campaigns are looking for results. They're looking at return on sales, return on investment, and the CFOs and the chief procurement officers are saying we have to be efficient and effective. So they're looking at returns, and digital gives you that. And the other thing that's really interesting, the regulators, like in the UK, the CMA just announced an investigation into cloud computing. They nixed the Giphy acquisition by Meta, which made no sense. They tried to stop the Activision with Microsoft, which in my mind made no sense. Cloud gaming market is not an excuse. If they want to say big is bad, say it, right? Alina Khan in America is doing the same thing. But what's happening with AI is going to make these companies even more important. And from a defense point of view, the war in Ukraine is being fought. It's a technological war.
Of course.
And so technology is critical for everything that we do, to protect the state, protect the nation, defensively, let alone offensively. So I think it's a real dilemma. And with AI, the regulators will not be able to keep up with the companies. Apple is as big as Italy or Germany or France, if you equate market cap to GDP.
So, which are your expectations regarding media malls?
Yeah, now we used to be Miyagi, and so Beppe and his team have done a really good job. They've grown phenomenally here, and this year as well. In a tough year, they've done a very good job. So all congratulations to them. And then they've integrated. They've gone through a seamless transformation of the brand from Miyagi through to MediaMarkt. So that's all, I think, really, really, really good news. But our expectation is to grow. We have 120 monks here. I like it to be 400 or 500 monks. So that's implying, we should triple in size. To do that, obviously, we have to broaden the offer. I mean, if you look at the Italian market, and I contrast it to when I started at WPP, the Italian market was dominated by the multinationals with good local execution. Now, with the rise of the, let's say, the technology services companies like Deloitte and Accenture, it's a different competitive set. So you have them, then you have the sort of AKQA, VML, huge RGA. Not WPSO, these the parts of the holding company that do data and digital. And then you have the specialists, Oliver, Debt, those sort of companies.
Your acquisition?
No, I think we want to focus on what we've got. I mean, we've got 8,500 people. We're not a big company, but we're not a small company. So we've morphed from a small company to a bigger company. So we've got to get that right. So it's about organization, effectiveness, efficiency, broadening the offer. So here in Italy, I would expect our DDM and technology services offer to broaden. And we have to appeal to the CSOs, the chief sales officers and CMOs, and CIOs and CTOs as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Martin Sorrel. Dopo questa lunga conversazione con Martin Sorrel, penso che abbiamo molti spunti per riflettere sul futuro di questa industria. Ringrazio Sir Martin Sorrel per aver accolto l'invito a parlare con noi. Per ADV Express TV, Salvatore Sagone.